I would suggest that you work these same problems on paper as we review, because you can actually stop the video after I've talked about each problem, try to work it for yourself, and then continue playing it. So in this first question, you're being asked to graph the equation. I do not specify how you have to graph it, so you certainly could find intercepts if you want. I just chose the method of getting the y value by itself. So notice, first of all, if I want to get y by itself, I'm going to subtract the 10x on both sides so that I can move it to the, and so then I'm left with the 5y is equal to the negative 10x plus 25, and then I have to get rid of the 5, so I divide everything by 5. So your final equation becomes y equals negative 2x plus 5. Now at this point I would stop the video, write down this original equation, and you try to get y by itself as well. Once you've done that, you can start playing the video again. So now, how do I plot it once I have y by itself? Well, you always start with your y-intercept, which is just the constant. It's at positive 5, and so you would plot that point on the y-axis at positive 5. Then you look at your slope. Your slope is always the number in front of x. If it's not written as a fraction, write it as a fraction. Just put it over 1 because you're thinking about rise over run. And in this case, we're going to leave the negative on top with the 2, put it over positive 1. So in that case, you're moving down 2 and to the right 1. So notice I just went down 2 units and to the right 1, and that gave me another point on the line. Now you can continue doing that to get some other points on there to make it just a little more accurate, but it really just takes 2 points to make a line, and of course put arrows on the end. Question 2, you're being asked to find the intercepts. So what you have to know is to find x-intercepts, you always let your y be 0. So I took my original equation here, and in place of the y, I plugged in 0. So 4 times 0 is just 0. That term went away. So you just have 8x equals 8, divide both sides by 8, and you've got your x-intercept. And then you have to know, in order to find a y-intercept, you always let your x be equal to 0. So again, I went back to the original equation, plugged 0 in for my x. 8 times 0 is 0, so that left me with a negative 4y is equal to 8. I noticed a sign mistake there. So we divide both sides by negative 4, and your y should be equal to negative 2. So I'll fix that on the upload as well, but that should be negative 2. All right, on this third problem, we're being asked to find the slope between two given points. So you do have to know formula for slope. This is my formula for slope. And when you look at ordered pairs, I always just label them in order. So the first ordered pair is my x1 and my y1. The second ordered pair is my x2 and my y2. So that when I come to this formula, we're taking our y2 value, which in this case is the negative 11, and we are subtracting the y1 value, which is negative 8. And then on bottom, we're going to take the x2 value, which in this case is the negative 12, and subtract the x1. So then we simplify. Anytime you're subtracting a negative, that's the same as adding the positive. So that's what I'm showing you down here. Negative 11 plus 8 leaves you with negative 3. And then on the bottom, negative 12 minus 0 is simply negative 12. If you can reduce your fraction, certainly do so. So negative 3 divided by negative 12 is 1/4. So the slope of this particular line is equal to 1/4. And then on the fourth question, we're being asked to find the equation of a line that passes through points. So again, notice that I first found the slope, just like on the previous problem. So again, I would stop the video here, and you try to calculate that slope for yourself. My y2 is 18 minus my y1 of 2, and then my x2 is 3 minus my x1 of negative 1. So I'm left with 16 over 4 is equal to 4. And then when you're looking for an equation, I always go straight into y equals mx plus b. It does not matter which y value you use from these original points up here. But for example, if I choose to use a y value of 18 like I did here, then when you go to plug x in, you've got to make sure you use the x that's paired with that y value. So my y is 18, my slope is 4, the x that goes with the 18 is 3, and I'm looking for my b. So 4 times 3 would give me 12. If I subtract 12 on both sides, then I'm left with a b value of 6. So my final equation here, I put it back